Hey guys, my name is Lily and today I'm exceptionally mad and also really sad. Because the European Union turns out to be not of the people, by the people and for the people anymore. Instead it's now against people's health and for corporations and billionaires. So before I show you the main article, I first want to give you a brief overview of what happened. So in 2004 it has started that the European Union has allowed GMO crops here in Europe. So you could grow some of them for fodder and also you could import GMO crops, especially soy from Brazil and other countries. And that was happening in 2004. But we Austrians, the majority of the population is against GMO crops. We don't want that, and we want to have the old crops, heirloom seeds and so on. So now Austria has tried to ban this new law, the GMO law, but unfortunately we lost the case in front of the court. So it was a defeat, and this one state that lost was Upper Austria, and it must allow the cultivation of genetic engineering. So that was quite a disappointment for Austria. So then Austria has allowed the import of genetically modified soy, and this is also one of our very basic labels that we have here in Austria. So now this label also allows the GMO fodder, for example soy for our pigs. So if you are getting a pig which is not having an organic label, then you have a high chance that GMO fodder was used for this pig. And also they say here, to justify this decision, why they are allowing this to happen, is they say for pigs it's important that they have a high protein source, and in Austria we do not have enough of soy growing on the fields. So this is how they justify that we are importing the genetically modified soy. But this is actually only half of the truth, because the other side of the coin is that they are producing more pork than we can eat here in Austria. So actually we are exporting a lot of pork to other countries, and they just want to make a profit, and this is why the demand of soy is so high. So it's not about feeding the population anymore. Yeah, and now I'm really happy that I have a really good memory, and I'm reading the newspaper for over 20 years here in Europe. And then I remembered this article. So here they are saying that Austrians, we have exported pork in worth of millions to Russia, but then Russia was sanctioning us and we could not sell the meat to Russia anymore. And here it's saying that it's harming the Austrian food industry in the millions. I don't know how many millions we earned with exporting pork, but apparently it was a lot. So yeah, this is the real reason why they want to have cheap genetically modified soy. They want to have it so they can produce more meat than we actually eat here in Austria, and they want to make profit with this move. Okay, so this was the history of the GMO regulations that are going on in the European Union. We Austrians are against it. We try to ban this technique, but they won't allow a ban, which is really bad. And by the way, they also tried to come for our heirloom seeds in 2013. So they tried to make heirloom seeds practically illegal. So if a farmer would grow heirloom seeds himself, he would not be able to trade it with another farmer or barter it with another farmer or even give it to him as a present. They wanted to make this illegal. So this is what they have tried, but actually back in the day the members of the parliament still had some brain and common sense, and they voted against it. So the EU Commission pulled back this draft. So now they have lost this one battle, which is a good thing. And up until now, the heirloom seeds are still allowed in the European Union. But who knows for how long. So maybe they will try this again very soon. And now I want to show you this one article, which is making me really mad. So here they are saying that now they have a green light for the new GMO CRISPR technique. And the problem is they don't want to label it, which was actually the same problem we had before. So if you feed your sow or your pigs with GMO feed, you did not have to label it. But if you were purchasing organic, then you could be 100% sure that there's no GMO feed in the meat that you were purchasing. But now that's changing. So let me read you this article. Yeah, so here, this is what they are claiming. This is the new CRISPR technique. Here they are cutting out sequences of the DNA and replacing it directly with something else. So that's the new technique. And here they claim it's going to make the plant resistant against any sicknesses or pathogens or insects. And this is actually only half of the truth, because what they are not telling us is that they can also make the plant resistant against insecticides, fungicides, pesticides, Roundup, for example, glyphosate. So they can make the plant resistant against a poison, and then they can spray even more poison. And of course then you won't have any insects on the field anymore that can harm your plants. But we will have more poison on the field. What they also don't tell us is that they can genetically modify the plant so that it's producing glyphosate itself. So then you don't need to spray anymore because the plant itself has become toxic. And then the insects won't harm the plant anymore. Do you want to eat a toxic plant which produces glyphosate? I don't want to eat it. Here they are also claiming that the GMO crops have a higher resistance against drought. Maybe that's possible, I don't know. But I know that there are also other measures that we can take to, fight drought. For example, we can plant more trees around the fields. And when I was a kid, I remember that at the countryside, first of all, the field size was much smaller, and also every field was surrounded by trees. So the trees do not only hold back the water and store it in the roots, but also they hold back the wind. So there are many things that you can do against drought. Okay, then here at the bottom they are writing that the GMO the GMO crop, I mean, of course, is is better at taking up nutrients. That might be the case, but if the soil is already infertile, the crop is never going to grow really good. And I have a friend, and he took a pile of manure, and this is where he, planted a corn plant, and the plant got really high and had really big cobs. So unless you don't have an infertile soil, even the old crops, the heirloom seeds, will also grow really well. You just have to have a fertile soil. But the problem is that they have depleted the soil in the last 70 years. So now they have the problem that we are facing very infertile soils because they are using so much artificial fertilizers. And that's a huge problem. There's one more thing that I would like to state. So those GMO crop companies, they always claim that GMO makes more crops. They say it makes like 2 or 3% more crops, or the harvest maybe is 5% bigger. So this is what we need to fight world hunger. But actually they are not interested in fighting world hunger. Because if you really wanted to fight world hunger, you would plant potatoes. Okay? Why potatoes? Potatoes produce per square meter or square foot 300% more calories than wheat. And that's a lot. It's actually the one crop that produces the most calories per hectare if you compare it to all crops. So if you're hungry and if you want to fight world hunger and make more production, then plant potatoes. Potatoes are really healthy, much more healthy than grains. All of this discussion is just really, it's BS. It's BS. They tell us the genetically modified crops make more yield, more harvest, but in fact a potato makes 300% more harvest. So all of this is just ridiculous, and they just want to make money on their genetically modified crops, so that the farmer always has to buy the seeds with those big corporations instead of having his own seeds. So it's all about the money, and we have no idea what the GMO foods are doing to our bodies and what mechanisms they influence inside of our bodies. So this is why I, as a consumer, I want to avoid the GMO crops, because I just don't trust those companies. But the thing is that most people that I'm talking to, they don't know the facts of what's going on here in Europe. They just don't know it. When I tell them, hey, this pig meat from AMA is maybe containing GMO food. And then they are saying, no, no. And then they pick up the package and turn it around and they say, no, it's not saying on here that this is GMO. But yeah, they don't have to label it. So that's the problem. We consumers, we are being lied to because they are not telling us. If it would say this pig was fed with GMO feed, then a lot of people would not buy it. And this is why they don't want to have the label on the packaging. Okay, now I want to show you what's going on right now. So now we are in 2024. The members of the EU Parliament adopted their position on new genetic engineering, NGT. This is the CRISPR technique in plant breeding on Wednesday. The EU Commission's proposed law stipulates that some new genomic processes should no longer fall under the strict rules for genetically modified organisms. So the old rules do not apply anymore for the new CRISPR technique. Genetic engineering skeptics reject the proposal, but it met with approval in the agricultural sector, of course, because they are making the money. New mutation processes such as the CRISPR genetic scissors should therefore be easier to use in future, and plants processed as a result will no longer be labeled as genetically modified. So they are taking away the label. I think this should be a crime. How is this not a crime? It's crazy. This is crazy. The aim of deregulation is, among other things, to breed crops that are more resistant to water shortages or pests. Of course, they're always bringing this argument. Now, the majority of the Austrian parliament members in the EU rejected, but other countries did not reject. They voted in favor. And so now we have this new law, but it's still not sure exactly how it will be. But it definitely will be this new genetic scissors without any labeling, so the consumer doesn't know. So yeah, guys, this is it. This is what we are dealing with here in Austria. And I'm really, questioning the purpose of the European Union. If this goes against all we want as citizens, then it's not of the people, by the people, and for the people anymore. It's not for us anymore. And pretty soon we will have elections here in Europe, and opinion polls show that the right-wing party is having more votes. And then they will say, oh, people have become racist and right-wing, but that's not true. People are just fed up with the European Union and how things are going and how they are selling our health for profit. And this is it. This is the truth. So, yeah, I'm really disappointed. I'm deeply disappointed in the European Union. And, you know, I love other people from Europe. I love people from all countries of Europe. We have so many other Europeans living here in Austria. All of them are great people. I think the European Union has brought us together more, and that's a good thing. But the European Commission and also part of the Parliament is working against us. So this thing is not coming from us. This thing is coming from big corporations. They just want to make money and have the power over the seeds. They just want to control our food. And all of this is crazy. This is some really severe 1984 stuff. And I'm not okay with this. I know hundreds of Austrians who are not okay with this. And more people are now going back to grow their own food. So yeah, all of this is really crazy. And if we don't do something against it and don't protest this law, then we are really lost. We are lost.